Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for being here again.
Put it up.
Can you hear?
No.
No. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Can you hear? No. Wrong microphone, huh? That's one. How about this one? Let's try this one. What if we try this one? Is this okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Are we all right?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're going to talk about diet and nutrition tonight. And you've heard the saying that an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and an onion a day keeps everybody away. Is God interested in our diet?
Yes.
One of the very first things that God did was, in the Garden of Eden, He told them what to eat. Strict instructions as to what to eat. Now, after the fall, in Leviticus 11 to 17, He gives them strict instructions as to what kind of meat they might eat. I think one of the reasons was that they were toiling the land with the sweat of their brow, and the land was still not producing as it should. But the Bible also says that God saw man's misery upon the face of the earth and wanted to reduce his lifespan. And He gave him meat to eat. In other words, up until then, how old was Adam and Eve when they died? Over 930 years old. It was good when it was sinless. After sin, it's a miserable way to live 930 years, isn't it? I'm pushing mid-70s, and I'm beginning to feel that sinful living takes its toll on the human body. So God gave them meat to eat so that their lifespan on this face of the earth would be lessened. But we also know from Isaiah that one day when this world is restored, what will happen? The lion and the lamb. The lion ain't going to eat the lamb, right?
No.
The lion will be eating what? Will be eating grass. In other words, the original diet that God gave human beings will be the diet when this earth is restored back to its original righteousness. Is that beautiful? Amen. But we have the ability to enjoy some of that here and now for those of us that have been redeemed from sin. The whole idea of giving up eating meat, I think I've lost again, did I? I lost it. The whole idea of giving up meat is not simply for health reasons, but also in preparation for the great event and to prepare ourselves for the world to come.
Amen.
So we can be grateful for the opportunities that God has given us to understand the basis of some of the things that we're talking about here in the last couple of weeks now. Today will be 2 weeks since we started the series. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and run the DVD, and then we'll go for the power presentation. How has the series been for you? I mean, it was good? It was good. There are still several more lectures to come, and I have invited a couple of other doctors to be here. One is going to be here tomorrow night, and I heard him. I want to apologize. Oh, by the way, this is for you. I've already made invitations to several doctors to be here to make presentations. And, you know, everybody is not of the same caliber in terms of communication, so don't be disappointed. The important thing is that you get the message, okay? The medium is not important, but the message is important.
Right.
Right? So we want to get the right message out. I do have gifts for all of you. I don't think we're going to give it out tomorrow, but I think we'll try to give it out next week. So those of you that are coming from day to day, please put your names down, and you have it?
Yes.
So write it down so that before we leave, I'm going to give you a book on healthful living. And it's free. You don't have to pay for it. I think it's a good book. So please put your names down so that we'll know who to give to. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and run the video. So, the whole purpose of these seminars is to live our life to the fullest. God says in Isaiah 55, listen to me and eat what is good. So God is calling us, inviting us to eat what is good, because that is not only good for the body, as we shall see in today's lecture, it is also good for the soul. Now, the subject of nutrition, by the way, is a fairly broad subject. We will not be able to cover all of it tonight, so what I'd like to do is, we still have about 3 or 4 lectures left in this series, so I'd like to continue with the nutrition seminar sometime next week as well. Sabbath night, that's tomorrow night, the lecture will be on trust. Tomorrow we will deal with the important topic of the meaning of Sabbath rest in the New Testament. Because that's creation. The second letter, acronym, is R for rest. We talked about the physical rest. We talked about the spiritual rest and mental rest last Sabbath. But we talked about it in terms of the Old Testament. We want to take you to the New Testament and what that means for those of us that live in the New Testament. And then we have Chaplain Ken Curl, who will be here tomorrow night with a lecture on trust. We have the Vice President of Laurel Memorial Hospital will be here with us Wednesday night. And she will talk to us about interpersonal relationships. We will have Dr. Kathy, I hope Dr. Kathy can be here Friday night. And she'll talk about activities. And then we'll conclude next Sabbath. Is that right?
Yeah.
Pastor Samuel, next Sabbath will be our last? 29. And I want to tell you, if Pastor is going to allow me to talk about it, I want to tell you why you and I are relevant in the 21st century in terms of God's plan for this world. Okay? God has always chosen some people, a group of people, during the entire span of this world's history. And you and I are the people that God has chosen for the very end time. So we'll talk about that next Sabbath. All right, so we're ready to run the video? Not yet. How about about the PowerPoint presentation. Whatever you have. If you don't have it, we'll give the lecture. That's no problem either. So I'm going to go ahead and start the lecture. Whenever you're ready, you signal and we'll go back to doing the video. All right. 1 Corinthians 6:19. Finish this for me. Your body is the
Temple
of the Holy Ghost. Therefore glorify God. You want to make sure that what you put inside the temple is what?
Glorifying God.
What would glorify God? What was the sacrifices that was allowed in the temple? What kind of animal?
Lambs, bulls, clean animals.
Clean.
No blemish.
Clean.
No blemish.
So what can you eat in terms of putting it into the temple of the Holy Spirit?
Clean.
You got it. You guys are way ahead. As compared to some of the other congregations I speak to. All right. We are asked to enjoy the boundless bounties of Eden. Those who think they have no time for healthy eating will sooner or later have to find time for sickness. Okay? Did you ever see? You ready?
God is like, the Paul was saying.
Oh.
True.
Oh. Okay. So you want to come over here?
Yeah, come to.
Wave your arm.
You got to stand there? Why don't I just say next?
Makes no sense.
Well, you can go ahead and knock the lights out. I'm not going to look at my notes. I think I'm okay with that. I don't want to turn my back on Joe, so I'm going to stand here.
That's all right.
Good? All right. Go ahead. I have come that you may have life to the fullest. Eat what is good, your soul will delight in the richest fare. Give ear and come to me, hear me, that your soul may live. Next. The body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Next. 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 All right. What do you eat? Minimum 3 servings of fruits and vegetables each day. Next. All right. We talked about this before. We said that 8 out of 10 diseases have some bearing on the mind. But we know that 8 out of 10 diseases are due to inadequate nutrition or alcohol use. Is that something? Next. 6 out of 10 Americans are overweight, primarily due to dietary practice. Now there are other causes of obesity, such as poor thyroid function, hypothyroidism. That means your thyroid gland that's up here in the neck is not functioning well. But that's very rare. Next. There is an epidemic of childhood obesity in the United States. Almost 51% of the American adults are obese. And a large proportion of children are obese as well. Next. So, there is a new disease called diabetes. It's a combination of diabetes caused by obesity. This diabetes does not need any medication. All that it needs is get your weight down and your diabetes will clear up. Next. Now, one of the things that I want to do in the months after we finish all this, at some point, if this is suitable for you, is to get together and talk about how to get rid of diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, and even cancer. So we can talk about that simply by changing your lifestyle and your diet. All right, is this your diet? It lacks fruits, lacks vegetables, lacks monounsaturated fat, lacks legumes, seeds, and nuts. The two different kinds of fats are saturated fats and unsaturated fats. Where do you get the saturated fats from? Animal products. That's good. So if you, and saturated fats clog up your arteries and give you heart disease. Heart disease. That's a big killer. So, if you don't want to get heart disease, you have to stop eating animal protein. Anything that comes from an animal.
Yep.
Next. What about this? Is your diet filled with salt and filled with sugar? Sugar is known as what? Empty calories. In other words, it has no nutritional value at all. And salt, what does salt do to the body? Retains the sodium in the body, raises the blood pressure within the cell. So, each cell, which you can't see by the naked eye, you got to look at it under the microscope. Each cell, when it gets loaded up with sodium, the cell begins to get weak and not function properly. So the way to get the cells to function is to get the sodium out of the cell and to get potassium inside. In other words, if the potassium will go inside, the sodium will come out. So the way to do that would be to eat less salt. A typical American adult eats 10 times the amount of salt that we need. Typical American diet contains approximately 10 teaspoonfuls of salt. I know you're going to say to me, Doc, I don't put that much salt in my food. But much of the processed foods that we eat already has salt added on to it. Okay? So, the maximum amount of sugar that we want is about, salt that we want is about 1 teaspoonful. Is this your diet? Okay, next. How about this? Filled with soda, caffeine, lacking water. Maybe the first is not right for us. Maybe the second, we don't have a problem with caffeine. But a lot of people do in America. And as you know, this series was not developed for us, or simply administered, but this series was developed for the public. And what does caffeine do to us? Caffeine increases, we talked about this, I think. Caffeine increases the cortisol level in the body. And the catecholamine levels in the body. And we said before that cortisol and catecholamines are what kind of hormones? Stress hormones or death hormones. If you are walking down the jungle path and you meet a tiger, leopard, you need either to run or to fight it. Right? So you need certain energy. You need the sugar in your muscles, the glycogen in your muscles, and your liver to come out to give you energy. So that sudden energy comes because cortisol rushes out of the adrenal gland. Now, a constant raise of this cortisol level kills the body. So, stress kills the cells within the body. So what you don't want is you're drinking coffee and tea. Tea may be not as much, but it certainly has some caffeine in it as well. I think number 3 is something that all of us can relate to. People come come and tell me that, I tell them, you got to drink more water. They say, I got to drink a lot of water. I say, okay. Write down the amount of water that you drink every day. Bring it back and let me see it. And the people that were telling me that they were drinking a lot of water, you know how much they drink?
Let's see.
About 4 to 5 glasses. How many glasses of water do you need? 8. You need at least 8. Now that's 8 is for somebody like me, below 200 pounds, 180 pounds. If you're over 200 pounds, you need more water. All right, next. So the caffeine content of Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Diet Pepsi, Coca-Cola, it's all given there. I know that most of us don't drink coffee, but we might be drinking some Pepsi once in a while, Diet Coke, and people say to me, well, once in a while it doesn't matter. This is my answer. Once in a while it really doesn't matter, but the cells in the body are being regenerated every single moment of every single day. Okay? So, when you put caffeine in and the cortisol level goes up, those cells that are being affected by it are being affected by it and they are dying. So, even though it may not make that much difference, if you just drink it once in a great while, it's still poison. That's the point that we are making. Next one. Okay, that's the caffeine content of some of the cola drinks. See how high that is? Next. Caffeine is a stimulant. Anxiety causes anxiety, sleeplessness, headaches, dehydration, calcium, and heart irregularity. Now, you know, once a week or so I have a cup of tea, and I can tell you, if I drink that tea after 6 o'clock, I can't sleep at night. So, if I'm going to have tea, the latest I can drink is maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon. When I go to my sister's place, she'll make a little cup of tea for me. But I drink only just to be sociable. And sometimes I don't finish the whole cup. But the point is that these are the things that can do to you. And especially those of you that have heart problems, you should not be drinking coffee or tea. Next. How about this? Alcoholic drinks, well, that's kind of a problem for us. How about large portions? Walk away, push away from the table before you feel full. Why is that? Because the stretch receptors in your stomach will not tell the brain that you're full for several minutes after the stomach can no longer hold anything. That's why if you keep eating, your stomach will stretch, and then after you get up, you say, oh, I ate too much. Because your stomach doesn't tell, the impulses from the stomach doesn't get to the brain. There's a delay in the transfer of this information. So, push away from the table before you feel full. All right, next. If you want to make changes in your life, make small changes and make positive changes. Next. When you engage in positive, go back to the other. When you engage in positive practices, the negative ones will go away. In other words, positivity brings success. A story is told of a man who was 100 pounds overweight. And he wanted to lose weight, he came to a seminar, and so the speaker told him, look, just start eating 2 apples a day. And the man said, what about the pound of fudge that I eat every other day? He said, don't worry about the pound of fudge, it'll go away one of these days, by itself. That's exactly what happened. The man started to eat 2 apples a day, and over the next 2 weeks, he didn't want to eat that fudge anymore. Yeah. He just lost the appetite for the fudge, and then he ate a little bit of fudge, and he ate half a pound, then he ate quarter of a pound, then he finally just gave it up by itself. So, the point is that we ought to make positive changes, but small amounts. Don't worry about the negative stuff that you're doing right now. Okay? Don't say, oh Lord, I got to give up that. I don't know how I'm going to give it up. But don't give it up. Just do the positive thing. Just do a little bit of positive stuff. And the negative stuff will go away by itself. Next. Okay, this is something that we want to start with positive. Add more water. We know how much to do, how much to drink. Breakfast. If you want to have good health, you have to have good breakfast. Why is that? Because after you've slept 8 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, and we talk about sleeping, how many hours do we have to sleep? 7 to 8 hours. After you sleep, what happens is your blood sugar level is at its lowest. If you don't eat breakfast but have a cup of coffee and donut, what does it do to your brain? It gives us empty calories and stimulation, but your blood sugar level begins to go down. When your blood sugar level goes down, your body has to bring in blood sugar from your liver or from your muscles. And how does the body do that? By producing the hormone called cortisol. And what did we say cortisol is? That's hormone. The higher the level of cortisol, long period of time, the sooner the human being dies. So the whole idea of health is to keep your cortisol levels as low as possible. Okay? Thank God we don't have to meet the leopard or lion every day like they did in the old days. Okay? So our cortisol levels need not go up. Of course, our cortisol level goes up, you know why? We drive downtown. That traffic, doesn't it? Okay, next. Balanced diet, simple wise decisions about nutrition can have rich rewards. And body cells are constantly regenerating. You are truly what you eat. Now, the RBCs or the blood cells in our body live for about 4 months. Then they die. In other words, no cells in our body lives forever, including the brain cells. Okay? The brain cells are somewhat different, but we'll talk about that in a later time. But I want to tell you this. Even if you have a bad body, in other words, a body that's filled with some sort of sickness, whether it be heart disease or diabetes or hypertension or whatever, that over a period of time, the old diseased cells will die and brand new cells will come. The whole idea of practicing good nutrition is to make sure that the new cells that are coming out are healthy cells. That's how you treat the disease. Now, I know that this takes a long period of time. So if you have cancer, you certainly need treatment because you've got to get those cancer cells that are working to die. Because it takes the body several weeks or months or even years to form brand new cells that will be resistant to the cancer antigens. But even diabetes and so forth can be treated as well. Next. Choose to be a wise consumer. Don't believe everything that you hear. Ask yourself critical questions. You know, you hear something like, a glass of wine is good. Right? You've heard that ad?
Yeah.
Is that a true statement or what?
No.
And they will give you some answer. They'll say that, well, the wine contains flavonoids and phenols, and that's why it's good. But you know what? They don't talk about the negative aspect of the wine. Why do you have flavonoids and phenols in the, of course they are good enzymes that are in the wine. It's because of the grape juice in the wine. Now, wouldn't it be better to drink the grape juice rather than drink the wine without the bad effects of the alcohol? Isn't it? Okay. So don't believe everything that you hear. Next. Eat a variety of foods in a variety of different ways. Don't be fooled by the latest trend. So it's okay to add spices and cook food in different different ways to make it palatable. The whole idea is to make the food more palatable so you can eat it. Next. Food is a blessing from God. It is our fuel for life. The closer the food is to the way God made it, when we eat it, it is better. Which is what? In simple terms, that means eat a big old salad for lunch. Raw salad. And don't put any chicken in it. Okay? McDonald's says it's got a chicken salad now. So just eat a big old salad. That's what God, it's raw. You want to eat raw vegetables and raw fruit as much as you can. Now I know that if you have inflammatory bowel disease or some other problem with your intestines, you can't eat raw food. It's okay to cook some of it there. But even in those situations, the body will begin to heal itself over a period of time. And you can go back to eating fruits and vegetables. Next. 6 healthy eating guidelines. Consume a variety of nutrient-dense foods. What does nutrient-dense mean? Contains more than just sugar. A banana has sugar in it, but it also has got enzymes. An apple has got more than 10 different ingredients that are good for the body. Why do you think the snake tempted Eve with the apple? Huh? Because he must have told her all the good things that the apple has. Because the Bible says that when she saw that the fruit was good, so he must have said, sweetheart, here's what you should be eating. Eat this fruit because it's got all kinds of nutrients in it. So he took it and she ate it. Devil is pretty smart, isn't it? Alright, next. Consume a variety of nutrient-dense foods. Limit the intake of saturated and trans fats, cholesterol, added sugar, salt, and alcohol. Where do you get saturated fat from? Animal protein. So, don't eat animal protein. Trans fats. Did we talk about trans fats? No. Okay, where do you get trans fats from?
Processed food.
Anything that comes in a box or a bag or a can. What's the purpose of trans fats? Trans fats prevent food from going bad. Okay, if you cut up your vegetables and if you bake a cookie, for example, if you bake a cookie at home without any preservatives and you put it out on the kitchen table and leave it there for a couple of days, leave the window open, the ants will come in and they will eat it. Yes or no? They will. If you buy a box of cookies from Giant, open it and leave it on the countertop, the ants will come, smell it, and they'll go away. You know why? Because it's got trans fats. They know when they eat trans fats, they're going to die. It's the human beings that are dumb. They don't know that when they eat trans fats, they're dying. Huh? It's the old devil's lie. The day that you eat, you will die. Did God say? God didn't say that. Well, a day is like 1,000 years for God anyway, so none of them live to be 1,000 years old. So they all died the same day, right, according to God's time period. But the point is that it's trans fats that cause the damage in our bodies. So we want to make sure that we don't eat anything with trans fats. And of course, added sugars and salt and alcohol. Balance the calories that you take in with the calories expended. What does expended mean? That you burn up, right? If you got a desk job, lower the amount of food that you take. If you're somebody that's working in the farm, eat more food. Choose a variety of fruits and vegetables each day while staying within the energy needs. Alright, next. Consume less than 10% of your calories from saturated fatty acid, less than 300 milligrams of cholesterol, and keep trans fatty acid consumption as low as possible. I'd say just leave it alone, don't even take it. Choose fiber-rich fruits and vegetables and whole grains often. We're going to talk about fiber in a little bit. Consume less than 2,300 milligrams of salt, which is how much?
1 teaspoon.
That's it. You take more than that, and you're going to get high blood pressure. Unless you're able to throw it out by drinking a lot of water. Okay, next. Okay, fiber. Why is fiber so important? Dietary fiber is found only in plant-based. So, chicken, beef, pork, fish, none of those things have any fiber. But fiber is the basis of cleaning the body. Fiber comes from fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. We'll talk about that. Recommended intake of fiber is 20 to 35 grams per day, and most of us don't eat that much. We eat about 10 to 15 grams per day. Next. High fiber is associated with decreased emotional distress, increased brain function, decreased cognitive difficulties, and decreased violent behavior. They changed the diet for the inmates in a prison and found that the violent behavior among the inmates went down by 40% just by changing their diet. They did an experiment where they fed a fiber-rich diet to children going to school, and they found that their cognitive ability, their ability to remember things went down. They got increased brain function, and they were less distressed emotionally. Next. Fiber satisfies the appetite with excess calories, lowers the glycemic index. What's a glycemic index? It is the index by which the amount of blood sugar goes up in the body by the rapidity with which the blood sugar goes up in the body. In other words, the more the fiber, the slower the rise of blood sugar in the body. If you just take some sugar, a triple dose of sugar, or let's say a milkshake, and make it real nice and sweet and drink it, your blood sugar goes zoom like that. It goes up like that and then begins to fall. What happens to your insulin? Because your insulin needs to go in and digest that blood sugar, right? So but your insulin can't go up like this. So your blood sugar is up here, your insulin is chasing it, but it's only going up slowly like this. Suddenly the blood sugar begins to fall as the insulin rises. But the insulin overshoots the blood sugar, causing major damage to the body. What does it do? When the insulin goes up, the blood sugar dramatically falls. So the body thinks that you are in a starvation mode. There ain't enough food in your body. So it begins to store what little bit of blood sugar you have in your fat cells. That's where you get fat. Okay? So, getting fat is not simply because you're eating too much food, it's the way that you eat and the kind of food that you eat. So what we are saying here is that eat foods that have low glycemic index, such as fruits, vegetables, and nuts. So the fiber also helps you in the digestion process, in elimination. Make sure that that you go to the bathroom once a day at least. It's associated with lower cholesterol levels and reduced blood pressure. Why is that? One of the primary ways of getting rid of toxins from the body is by fiber. Fiber combines with all of the mercury and tin and all those other toxins that our body that we intake in with the food, even the pesticides that we eat with the fruits and vegetables, they're all taken out by the fiber. That's insoluble fiber. The soluble fiber takes the cholesterol and other toxins out of the body. From the liver, it goes to the liver, catches the cholesterol, brings it out, and throws it out. So, what we are saying is that the more fiber-rich food, which means fruits and vegetables that you eat, the more cleaner your body will be. Therefore, you can live longer, healthier. Okay? That's what we're saying, that 8 out of 10 diseases are caused by what you eat. Next. keeps a bowel, healthy bowel, improve gastrointestinal function. That means you go to the bathroom every day. How many times do you think I have patients that come to me and say, for example, I'll ask him, how often do you go to the bathroom? Oh, I don't know, doc, once every 5 days. I had a lady that came to me and said that she hadn't gone in 10 days. Imagine all the toxins, all that stuff staying inside the GI, inside the stomach and intestines. All the toxins that are being absorbed. No wonder she's got all kinds of sickness. So, ideally, every time you eat, there's some bulk, and you should go to the bathroom. In other words, you really ought to go to the bathroom 3 times a day. But most of us don't. At least once a day. That's what we aim for. If you're not going once a day, there are only 2 things that are happening. Number 1, you're not drinking enough water. Number 2, you're not eating fruits and vegetables. Okay? The people that eat meat and meat products don't go to the bathroom once a day. They usually go once in 2 or 3 days. Why? Because there's no fiber. There's no fiber in the diet. Okay, next. Okay, sorry, go back to the old slide. Okay, prevents cancer. One of the things that I tell people that if you have a family history of cancer, I tell them, do not eat meat. Absolutely no meat. Prevents diabetes. Prevents heart disease. All good reasons why we ought to be eating fruits and vegetables. Next. Fiber intake and heart disease. Just look at this here. High fiber diet and low fiber diet. The risk of heart disease, if it's 100% in low fiber diet, that's the blue column. The white column is high fiber. Your chance of getting heart disease is 59%. Dietary fiber. Vegetable fiber, fruit fiber, etc. Next. Fiber and coronary risk disease. Coronary disease means heart disease. Next. All right. We have, it's now 8:30. Would you like to stop today and then, can we see the video tonight? We can? Why don't we stop here and we'll do the rest of this lecture some other point in the future. Why don't we do the video and then we'll close.
Of all the ways we have to be creation healthy, nutrition is perhaps the most powerful. Would you like to be happier and more energetic, stronger, healthier, substantially decrease your risk of disease? Then start here. Improve your nutrition. And you can start small. There was a man who was 100 pounds overweight. He was too self-conscious to even attend the nutrition classes his employer offered. So he met with the nutritionist personally for help. The first week, she asked him to record everything he ate. After reviewing his food journal, she suggested he start eating 1 piece of fruit every day. But what about the pound of fudge I eat every day? Shouldn't I stop? Don't worry about it, she said. It'll take care of itself. And it did. He started achieving his weight loss goals because of this simple but powerful principle. When you keep filling your life with positive things, soon there will be no room for negative things. He didn't give up his pound of fudge all at once. He replaced it, little by little, by simply adding something healthier every day. But what about your diet? Can you make a positive addition today? Maybe eat more of creation's wonderful fruits and vegetables. How about adding a couple of glasses of water? Can you start eating breakfast more regularly? My point is, choose to start just by making a few small positive changes in your diet. And don't beat yourself up over all the unhealthy stuff. Focus on the good, and you will succeed. Dr. Winnie King brings home some new perspectives to this incredibly important aspect of living.
Food is the energy that makes it possible for our body to regenerate and grow. To get better results, all we have to do is fuel our body with better food. Human blood cells only live for about 4 months, so our body is constantly replacing old blood cells with new ones. thousands of new cells regenerate in our body daily. That's why fueling our body with the highest quality of food helps to create the healthiest cells. So we should enjoy a variety of foods that are prepared in fresh ways. A balanced approach that adds colors, textures, and flavors is best. Different foods equal different nutrients. We should also guard ourselves against diet gimmicks, tricks, and trends. Ask, how is this different from what I know is a balanced diet? And how will this affect my health overall? If it proposes dramatic changes from a regular eating schedule or from normal foods, then don't fall for it because it isn't a healthy diet. Think back to the creation story. The original diet we find is plant-based. Have you ever wondered why God gave us a vegetarian diet in the beginning? He wants what's best for us. So he gave us a diet that helps us live life to the fullest. It's a diet that energizes us. It prevents disease while creating and maintaining our best health. The original diet we find in Eden had a ratio of 60% carbohydrates to 14% protein. And what are some benefits of this diet? Well, for starters, it's high in fiber. Some high fiber foods are beans, legumes, whole grains, pasta, vegetables, fruits, and nuts. Fiber makes us feel full, which means we don't eat as much. High fiber foods help us achieve and maintain a healthy weight. A study involving more than 74,000 women showed that those who ate more whole grains weighed less. Research also shows that eating 3 servings of fruits daily helps with healthy weight loss. High fiber foods cause blood sugar to rise slowly, requiring less insulin to process the meal. They also slow the emptying of food from the stomach, increasing the absorption of simple sugars in the small intestine. Other benefits of a vegetarian diet that's high in fiber include lower serum cholesterol concentrations, lower risk of heart disease, reduced blood pressure, better glycemic control, which reduces the risk of diabetes, and improves digestive function. And it's a fact that a vegetarian diet leads to the lowest risk of cancer, period. Despite these benefits, some might wonder if it's possible to get enough protein on a vegetarian diet. Research shows that a proper vegetarian diet does in fact supply all of our protein needs. Here are some other important findings. With plant foods, we experience a slow, continuous release of energy, helping our body maintain consistent serotonin levels. This helps control our mood, appetite, and food cravings throughout the day. High fiber foods reduce emotional distress as well by increasing brain function since it's being fueled by a steady release of glucose. Adults who eat high fiber foods for breakfast are more productive and think more clearly. But you might imagine, good nutrition affects children positively too. In one study, the meals were changed in school lunches served to more than 1 million New York City public school students. In just 1 year, a more wholesome diet caused a 16% increase in academic performance and a 41% decrease in the number of children with learning disabilities. In another study involving 8,000 teenagers at 9 different juvenile correctional facilities, researchers replaced diets high in sugar and refined foods with diets high in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. During the year in which the diets were changed, violent and antisocial incidents at the institutions decreased by almost half. A good diet improves quality of life all the way around. Before fast food became a way of life, we enjoyed fast foods that were even faster and easier to eat, such as apples, bananas, and almonds. Nature's nutrient-rich fast foods come in a spectrum of colors. Purple, red, and blue fruits and vegetables are rich in phytochemicals called anthocyanins. These rid the body and brain of free radical damage. Orange, yellow, and green vegetables are rich in stress-lowering carotenoids, vegetable consumption? Well, the World Health Organization reports that nearly 3 million people die each year simply because they're not eating enough fruits and vegetables. 5 servings a day is all we need. 20% of all cancer is preventable by eating 5 servings of fruit and vegetables daily. Here are some tips to get you started. Eat broccoli. This vegetable wins top honors when it comes to promoting health. Ounce for ounce, it has more vitamin C than an orange and as much calcium as a glass of milk. 1 medium sprig of broccoli has 3 times more fiber than a slice of wheat bread. It's also one of our richest sources of vitamin A. Consider these benefits. Broccoli minimizes the risk of cataracts and helps protect against strokes. It contains a substance called isothiocyanates, which stimulate the body to create its own cancer-fighting substances. Isothiocyanate also block the growth of melanoma skin cancer cells. People who eat the most cruciferous vegetables have a much lower risk of prostate, colon, and lung cancers, even when compared to people who regularly eat other vegetables. Other cruciferous vegetables such as kale, cabbage, and cauliflower contain compounds that signal our genes to increase enzymes that detoxify the body. In a study of women in Singapore, a city of high levels of air pollution, non-smokers who ate cruciferous vegetables lowered their risk of lung cancer by 30%. Smokers who ate them reduced their lung cancer risk by 69%. Want a simple way to detoxify your body? Eat cruciferous vegetables like kale, spinach, broccoli, turnips, cauliflower, collards, bok choy, and cabbage. Bottom line, fruits and vegetables protect us from disease, and they create a higher quality and quantity of life. But let's move on to another food, beans. Beans are a great source of protein and fiber, and they're low in calories and fat. Eating beans reduces